Hey everyone, this is Alvaro Cortez Jr., aka Lance Danger. I hope you're all doing great, and I hope you're hearing me. If you've listened to the Boricuas Contra Todos live streams, lately there's been a little bit of audio problems, um, especially from my end. Hopefully, everything is resolved. I just want to say a good afternoon to you all, beginning of the week. Very excited. Even if I look extremely tired, extremely sleepy. I haven't done a solo live stream in a while. Things have been very, very busy in the personal life and whatnot. And I've also been busy working on the comic as well. And I just wanted to pop in uh, real quick, or at least as quickly as possible, to not only do the logo reveal that I had promised a couple of weeks back, but to also do the unboxing of Project New Wave number three. Once again, Project New Wave number three, created by Manuel Carmona. He is also the illustrator. Francisco Rivera, colorist extraordinaire. Spectacular colors on this series as always. And of course, your humble servant as the writer of this series. So very exciting times. Just as I have been complaining about Indie Planet and Kablam over this past year, credit where credit is due. They finally released a statement a couple of weeks back that they hired more people, that they're really digging into all the backlog of stuff that they owe to everyone. And they're securing more paper as well to have a much smaller time frame to be able to deliver on the comics and whatnot. So I appreciate that they finally made like a pretty honest statement, because it was frustrating there for a while, and it still is. Not going to lie, it still is. I'm still on the fence on whether using them again or not. Like, I'm still open to other options. But again, credit where credit is due. I ordered Project New Wave off of the Indie Planet site. Here it is. I'm not showing the other side because I don't want to dox myself, but you get it. Anyway, credit where credit is due. This is probably the quickest comic I've ever gotten from ordering at Indie Planet. Like, it didn't even, I think it was actually the same day that I ordered it that I already had a tracking number. Like, that's the first time that's ever happened, to be honest, buying anything off of Indie Planet. So that's a good start, is what I'm saying. At the very least, it looks like they're going to end the year strong. Hopefully they will be able to, for the sake of all the creators that like using their services, hopefully they'll have a strong ending to this year and use this momentum going into next year. All the best to them. Once again, I don't know if I'm going to use the services again myself, but I don't wish them ill either, so that's that. And without any further ado, let's do this. Always exciting to open up a new comic, especially one that you participated in. Snip, snip. Snip, snap, snip, snap, snip, snap. Kudos if you get that reference. Let me see if I can just like pull this down here. Here we go. This time I use scissors because it's been like pretty difficult to do it up in my bare hand. Once again, Gemini Mailer. Let me make sure that once again I do not dox myself with like the billing information and whatnot. Here's the billing information. Funny thing is that I was so tentative to actually order it. I usually order 2 copies. One so I can kind of frame, another one so I can just like read it around and such and show around. Here it is. As I Live and Breathe, Project New Wave issue 3. Let's take this bad boy out. Because one thing that I'm really curious about is to see how the paper quality is of this issue, especially now that they got their hands on newer paper. I know that other colleagues like Yes and Seal Sucks had a very bad experience with the paper quality for his trade of Tranquility Bay. Let's see. I guess they're cutting on the cost and paper of everything because I didn't get a bookmark this time. Okay, here's the cover. It's actually surprisingly nice and shiny. The color doesn't run when I touch it. Like, so far so good. It's not a Marvel Comics cover, is what I'm saying. Oh yeah, you can definitely tell the difference in paper quality from the previous issues to this one. Let me see. The inside cover looks great though. Hmm. Let's see. Yeah, it's definitely a thinner paper stock compared to the older comics. Hmm. Like it's not bad. Like again, it's not Marvel levels of irritating. I would say it's somewhere probably something a little higher than like the usual Marvel and DC comics kind of paper. Like not up to how the old paper was, but at least it's not Marvel paper, which is hardly paper to be honest. By the way, the first official print promotion for Hell Beneath You in the inside back cover, of course. Like at least it still looks good. Like the colors and the inks aren't running on my thumbs. So that's always a good sign. There are a lot of stuff I do not remember writing in this issue. Like I wrote these so long ago that I kind of need to refresh myself on what I actually did. Just kind of looking through. So this issue is essentially the first time that these characters kind of meet. And there's an introduction of other villains as well. That's essentially the long and short of this issue. Like in the first issue, you saw them in action. The second issue is kind of like a backstory to Jason, which is the blonde here, the leader of the team, pretty much on the ground. And this issue is essentially the first time that these five characters actually meet up for the first time in the base and whatnot. So yeah, somewhat of an origin story, but it also introduces other characters and new villains. I don't want to go too much into spoiler territory because, again, by the comic, of course. And yeah, I'm going to promote it through Indie Planet. Like again, the paper quality once again is a tad below. Like, let me see if I can. Yeah, I actually have copies over here. Let me just move some stuff around. Like, I hope it's actually kind of noticeable once I show it on the camera. Hello. Hello. Sorry about that, guys. The microphone went offline for a brief moment there. Hopefully, you guys can hear me. I'm just going to look up a previous issues of Project New Wave to kind of do a comparison of the paper quality. Again, let me be careful to not dox myself. Gonna have to order a different copy just so that I can frame one of them. Alrighty. Like in terms of the cover, there's no real drop in quality in terms of the cover stock itself, which is good. There's no real difference in the uh, comic book stock, at least the cover. Like I don't know if you can tell here. This is from Project New Wave issue number 1. It's a lot glossier, the paper. And this is issue number 3, where it's kind of more muted. You can like see the ring like glistening off the paper, and not on this one. Which is fine, really. It almost feels like an old school comic that way. Like there is some shine, but not to the extent of the other one, which is okay because one thing that I don't like about modern comics is like I kind of prefer there to be like some kind of happy medium where the paper isn't absolute trash Marvel comics, or the paper being like too shiny, almost looks like I'm have plastic in my hands instead of paper. Like just something in between. It doesn't have to be newsprint. It doesn't have to be plastic. Just something in between, like it was like at least in the 2000s, maybe. I don't know. That's just the fanboy in me. I don't know how much paper quality affects any of you guys if you're just a casual fan and just want to read your comics. Again, like for issue 2, you can like see that glisten and shine of the paper as well. But there you have it. 3 issues now released of Project New Wave. It makes me so happy to see a new issue come out. And once again, just look at the craftsmanship of that cover. Manuel Carmona, line art, Francisco Rivera colors. It doesn't get any better than this. This, again, I may be sounding a little biased, but this has nothing to envy from anything from the big two. Not to take away merit from mainstream comics. It's like I say, I'm not anti mainstream, I'm just very pro indie. Like I'm just like trying to like find pages that I could show that aren't very spoilery. Like I absolutely love this page right here. Yes, the gorgeous looking comic. Saludo Juan Martinez, another fantastic artist in his own right. Thank you so much. This was so fun to like finally get this, and I actually was able to pick it up today. It arrived last week, so I don't think it even took like a week for it to get delivered to me through Indie Planet. So let me just like show you guys. No, yeah, of course. Like anytime you want to show your art here, like you're always welcome to, Juan. Let me just show you guys if anyone is curious or just to like have this, if somebody sees the replay at some point or something, let me just show you guys where you can get these comics. And of course, I'm going to be dropping the links in the chat. Later on, I'll put it in the description box and in the comments as well. Right, let me just put this one full screen. IndiePlanet.com, Project New Wave issue number 1. Let me copy here. Print on demand for $3.99. Digital download, yes, 99 cents. I don't know what you're thinking. $3.99 and the shipping and handling is going to be a little bit costly, and you might not want to spend that much money because it's November, Christmas is around the corner. Well, what you can do is that aside from ordering issue number 1, so that it wouldn't be like an expensive shipping and handling fee for just one issue. You can buy the other two issues. So you can have the that first three issues of Project New Wave. There's Project New Wave issue number two. Once again, $3.99 for the physical copy, 99 cents for the download. Let me drop in the chat the link to the first issue of Project New Wave. There you go. Issue number one of Project New Wave is in the chat, the link to it. Let me get the link for issue number two. There we go. All right. Now let's go to the newest offering, Project New Wave issue number three. There we go. Let me go ahead and also drop that in the chat. There you go. All three links for all three issues of Project New Wave are in the chat. The comics are live on Indie Planet after a almost year long struggle of it getting actually on the site. The crazy thing is the Canon Girl, which I submitted like a month and a half after Manuel submitted Project New Wave number three, the Canon Girl actually got uploaded to the site of Indie Planet before Project New Wave did by like a week or something. Crazy times we're living in. While we're at it, because I didn't really do like a stream for this, let me go ahead and show you guys also the link to the Canon Girl Truthful Comics Edition number one. 250. It's a manga sized comic, 16 pages, black and white. Again, in the same kind of vein as the Nevermind um, comics that I released last year and the year before as well. The Truthful Comics edition. I took the original comic strip and just remade it from scratch. Let me put like one of the. There you go. One of the strips there so you guys can check it out. Thank you, Juan. That is from the Canon Girl. And just like brief like hits and description, Project New Wave is this paramilitaristic a teen super group that does what normal military or the police cannot do since they have superpowers. And they have been trained to use those powers to try to de-escalate situations or just kick ass however the situation presents itself. The Cannon Girl is more of a introspective, more personal, extremely indie kind of strip. It's 16 pages, 16 different strips. It's self-contained. There's no really story to it. Mostly just like a stream of consciousness um, that hopefully will make people kind of think. Like, I don't want to call myself a deep person or say that my indie comics are very deep and pretentious, but I like to do stuff like this every now and again to just kind of challenge myself as a creator. Actually, let me put the because I really haven't done this in a while to like kind of promote art stuff out there. So this is the link for the Cannon Girl Truthful Comics Edition, issue number one. If this type of content intrigues you, or you just want to try something different, and of course, while I'm at it, let me show the aforementioned Nevermind. Let's go here. This is the Truthful Comics Edition. And once again, it is called the Truthful Comics Edition because these are comics that the original content, the original production material got lost due to different natural disasters, floods, hurricanes, and the actual physical pages are no longer amongst us. And of course, due to power surges, electricity failures in Puerto Rico, I have a lot of burned hard drives that killed a lot of those that material as well. And internet clouds and just cloud storage devices weren't really readily available back then, and the few that were really expensive. So I would just kind of like buy DVDs or CDs and try to burn them. But if you grew up burning CDs and DVDs, you know that that's like a hit and miss process. Sometimes it would work, sometimes it wouldn't. Sometimes it would work, but the lifespan of it would be pretty short. So I lost a lot of that material. But I was fortunate enough to actually find a PDF of that only time that I made a printing of Nevermind season one way back when. So I went ahead and um I'm getting ahead of myself because this is just the remake. This one that's here is the remake of season one because I decided to, make everything over again. Let me put, hmm, interesting. Let me just put kind of like one of the pages so you guys can see. Nevermind is a slice of life autobiographical strip, kind of like in the vein of Tom Beelan's True Stories, Swear to God, and stuff like the K Chronicles, American Splendor. And I'm not saying that it's like at that level, but if you're into that kind of stuff. So that is the remake of those that I made from scratch again because again I had lost all that material. And let me put the link to this one. And it's important that I make the distinction because I did eventually find the files, as I was saying, of the original first season of Nevermind. Let me stop sharing. Let me go ahead and I'll try to make this as quick as possible, guys. Bear with me. It's been a long time since I've shielded myself out like this. And I want to do something to keep my mind off of Twitter because my God, has everyone lost their mind over Twitter? Whatever it is that whatever opinion you have of Twitter, it's all good. But let me refresh this. Let me go ahead and drop this one in the chat as well. This is the original 12 strip collection from 2007. As I was saying, and you can see like the big difference here. Let me This is the original first season of Nevermind. As I was saying, I had lost all the original material to it. And one day, just like double checking emails and such, I find an Amazon link of all things. Like, what's this? And when I check it out, I had actually uploaded it for a while on Amazon as well as a digital comic. So in the actual Amazon server, I still had the PDF of this saved there. So I was able to retrieve that PDF. I was able to uh, put it into my Photoshop, and I was able to just edit it to make it look more clear compared to the original version, and also to put it bigger as well. So it's kind of like a higher definition version of that original season. And I just decided to like put it out there as well. And that's why it's called Nevermind the Original 12 Strips from 2007. So at the very least, I was able to salvage this. What a long, strange trip it has been. One, I think you're actually better off not having a Twitter, to be honest, with everything that's happening. You can try if you want to. Like I'm like 1 foot out the door, not because of the Elon Musk thing. I've been with 1 foot out the door since the first time I even made an account, like in 2010 or 11 or whatever, when Twitter first came out and everyone was telling me to make an account. Like, if you go through my timeline, I don't really post very much there. It's probably, aside from Instagram now after the whole takeover from Facebook, Twitter's probably the social media I use the least, to be honest. And oddly enough, it's like where I guess big names follow me back in the comic community over on Twitter. Right. So that's the link for the original 12 strips. Once again, never mind a autobiographical strip, self-contained also, like the Canning Girl. Like, there's no like theme or overarching stories. It's just random moments, really. Issue 2 actually should be out soon. I finished the uploading this strip a couple of months ago. And once again, the only reason I've held back is because I'm weighing in my options. I might still upload it to Indie Planet just to have somewhere to sell it as well, but I really am leaning towards doing Kindle and looking into other places to uh, self-publish the comic itself in physical format as well. So expect issue number 2 soon, hopefully, of the Truthful Comics edition. And after I finally start uploading the Cannon Girl Triple Comics Edition season 2, I'll start working on Nevermind Truthful Comics Edition season 3. For those who don't know, there were 5 seasons originally of Nevermind. Right, so that's it for Nevermind, and let me just present another very indie thing that I have done, which is Stupid the Cat. Ain't It the Life? And this is also a Truthful Comics edition, with the exception that it was really more like the first 3 pages that I had to remake, and the rest I still had the original content. So I was able to kind of do a mishmash of both things. In my opinion, Twitter is boring for me, but that's my opinion. I know other people like good for them, but it's not for me. Yeah, exactly. It's like the first time that someone mentioned Twitter to me, I had just gotten my Facebook account. And friends were like, "Oh man, you gotta check out this new social media. It's called Twitter." And like, I already have like MySpace and Facebook. I think I'm good. And they're like, "No, but the cool thing about Twitter is that you can't post anything more than 60 characters, because originally it was like something ridiculously low, like 60 or 100 characters. It's later that they changed the limit to 120 or whatever it is now. I was like, okay, so I make this account so I can talk less on social media. And they're like, exactly. I'm like, ew, no. I don't want to be social on social media as it is. As attractive as the prospect is of not talking as much, I guess, on a platform like Twitter. But yeah, Twitter, I've always found it, in my opinion, I've always found it kind of pointless. And it's even worse now. Like, I just get irritated seeing everyone lose their minds over all this. I know it's important to a lot of people. Like, I don't mean to minimize their anxiety and whatnot over everything that's happening, but man, there are worse things going on right now. Yeah, I know, right? Oh, what can you do? It is a mad world. It's a mad world, mad world. And there's the link for Stupid the Cat, Ain't It the Life? Truthful Comics Edition. And if you're wondering what Stupid the Cat is about, it's about this cat that just have an everyday cat life. Still sucks. I believe Twitter is the only social media left that accepts not safe for work artists. That is true to an extent, and if I'm not mistaken, actually, Tumblr is making a big comeback as of late. Also, even before this whole thing, like I know a lot of colleagues have been going back to Tumblr. Apparently, they have lessened the restrictions that Tumblr had like maybe 2 or 3 years ago when they changed owners too. So I know a lot of friends are going back to Tumblr. I'm kind of interested myself. Like I have a Tumblr. I used to enjoy Tumblr in the beginning. Quite honestly, I enjoyed Tumblr more than Twitter in the beginning. But then it just got too messy when it became big, to be honest. At least in my opinion anyway. Yeah, live and let live. That's what I believe. Definitely. Like all this makes me miss Comic Space. I don't know if any of you guys remember or know of Comic Space. Comic Space was this it was this cool social media almost like experiment. And this guy didn't even know it was going to blow up the way it did. But Comic Space was basically kind of just that like a mishmash between Facebook, MySpace, and Twitter, but for comic books. Like you could do status updates there, but you can also upload your web comic. You can also post covers and descriptions of physical comics that you've done. You could upload videos as well and tag videos that you've done from YouTube and whatnot. Like it was an extremely cool site. Like I remember when I actually got the invitation to join the site. Like I spread that news like wildfire in Puerto Rico and all the Puerto Rican comic book forums I could find. Like Puerto Rico almost invaded completely that site when it first opened, and for like 2.5 glorious years, it was like a great place and a great environment to post stuff. But the site grew too big, too fast, and the creator really couldn't handle it from a um financial point of view. He wasn't able to get the server space and the speed for the site to run smoothly. I believe he eventually ended up selling it and it just got shut down. It's a real shame because it was such a great place. It was a fantastic environment. That sounds cool. This is the first time I hear of it. Yeah, I wish they would make something like that again. Like of all the social media sites and even like art sites like DeviantArt, that was probably my favorite one actually, because people could comment as well and whatnot. So It was just fun, you know. It was like a more social media leading deviant art in a way. I wish someone would do that. Like I would do it myself if I had like Elon Musk money, to be honest. So yeah, this is just like the daily life of a orange cat, which is funny because I eventually ended up owning an orange cat, which you guys have seen in the live streams sometimes. The assistant to the editor, Hunter Jr. People have forgotten to have fun. Oh yeah, definitely. People just need to chill out, to be honest, really. Like I know, like and like I said, it's not to minimize what people are going through. Like I know some people are really, really like incredibly attached to, in a sense, unhealthily attached to Twitter. Like if you get to a point where you're too attached to a social media that you cry in anger over it because it's not how it used to be, you know, whether you're from one end of the spectrum or the other end of the spectrum of ideologies. Honestly, in my opinion, that's like a red flag that you have to like check if there's something deeper going on there because holy shit, man. No, just crazy times. Absolutely crazy times. And of course, it wouldn't be a party if I don't talk a little bit about Warlord. All you guys already know what is up. This is Fred Peterson, the mighty Warlord, one of the longest running web comics ever, the longest running Puerto Rican web comic ever, the longest running Puerto Rican superhero title ever. This is the prologue printed from the original prologue. Let me get the link to that one. Social media was made to be addicted according to the programmers. I wouldn't be surprised because so many people are like addicted, and not just like Twitter, but you know, any kind of social media. It's like there's people that are like posting constantly, and it's like, how do you find the time, man? And I know that I do it sometimes myself, but it's mostly when it's stuff like this, to be honest, when there's new stuff that I've published or new stuff that are that's being sold with my name attached to it. So, you know, I have to like let loose a little bit and you know put the word out there because it's not going to put itself out there. So I have to like promote it and such too, you know, and my colleagues have to promote it too. Like in that sense, you know, it makes sense to me. But you know, and I try to have fun on social media. I probably have the most fun on Facebook. Is probably the last one that I have left, to be honest. Instagram again, like ever since Facebook took over Instagram, it's hasn't been the same. Like the algorithm actually absolutely killed my a lot of my stuff there, you know. And like I've said before, like I don't mind having a low count of likes or a low count of followers or whatnot. But if people don't actually see what I'm posting when I'm posting it, then what's the point of posting, you know? Like there's times that I've been posting consistently on Instagram and then like I'll have a friend be like, why haven't you been on Instagram posting lately? I'm like, well, I have been. And they're like, well, I haven't seen anything. And when they go to my page, they see like a week's worth of updates. That's like, oh, you know, and those are the kind of things that are like, is it really worth it? I'll probably keep Instagram. I keep posting on it regularly, just like silly stuff and artwork and whatnot. I usually do. So social media, can't live with it, can't live without it. That's how it goes in the world now. Right. Let me just go ahead and show real quick. Fred Peterson, the Mighty Warlord. Um, it's really the webisodes, which are like self-contained short stories, but for the benefit of having an actual title on Indie Planet, and because originally it was going to be a free giveaway at Free Comic Book Day in Puerto Rico, I had to like change it to issue number 0. Just kind of refresh that. And it's 199. It's like the same size as like Nevermind, The Cannon Girl, and Stupid the Cat. But digital download is free. That's right, free. You can have this, all of this for free if you so desire to download the digital version of Fred Peterson, the Mighty Warlord, issue 0, um, in parentheses, webisodes, book 1 webisodes to be more exact. Like ever since I uploaded it, I put it for free because again, this was going to be a freebie for Free Comic Book Day. So I wanted to just have it as kind of like a gateway to the Warlord comics, so people can have like a taste of it. And if they kind of liked it, then maybe they'll check everything else out. That's because Facebook Insta only shows your stuff to 10% of your audience. And if that 10% reacts, then it shows it to more people. Yeah, that's true, but uh, I don't know. It's just like I have seen people react to a lot of the stuff that I put there, like even if it's just a handful. And it's still like not, I don't know. It's just, blech. I don't even have the words for it. But yeah, it's like I'm still going to be posting there. Like I'll probably be more active on it there. If anything, to just like push myself to draw more consistently. I haven't been drawing as consistently for fun, at least in a while. So I want to do that as well. So it's good to have it there. Like also like in my mind, like to have like a record of stuff that I've been doing. Right, let me show. Did I put the link to? Actually, let me put the link to the webisodes, or AKA issue number 0 as well. Once again, if you want the digital download for issue number 0, that one is actually free, so you can go ahead and download that one. Let's see now. Let's go ahead and show issue number 1 real quick. And there it is, issue number 1 of Fred Peterson, the Mighty Warlord. $4.99 on demand, 99 cents download. Like all the downloads are always going to be 99 cents unless they're for free, like I showed before with issue 0. There's the link to that. And last but not least, let's go ahead and show issue number 2 on Indie Planet. Once again, $4.99, but 99 in digital download. Great. And if you're wondering what Fred Peterson, the Mighty Warlord, about, it is a story of a group of young adults in Puerto Rico that turn out to have superpowers, and In the case of Fred Peterson, he is apparently a reborn prince from a bygone era. So, aside from it being in the modern times, there's a lot of elements of fantasy to it as well as mystery because he is pretty much born to be this big fighter superhero, and he was in the past, but now in his current incarnation, even though he has kind of flashes about it in his mind, like the experience was so traumatic back then that he just doesn't want to remember a lot of these things. So it's kind of like almost a defense mechanism in his mind that he has, that he doesn't remember a lot of the things. He doesn't even know what exactly his powers are. And it slowly starts coming to him, and it slowly starts dawning on him that he has to be this thing that he doesn't want to be necessarily. Chago, heavy, solid pitch. Thank you, man. Again, don't miss Boricuas contra Toros on Wednesdays. Those are fun streams. Like I'm starting to try to upload them as consistently as I can to like the dedicated Boricua contra Todo channel. I think eventually we're going to do the live streams on that channel instead. So I'll keep you guys posted on all that, of course. So of course, here is issue number 2 of Red Pearson, the Mighty Warlord. That was the last one I was able to actually put in print. I actually had the cover ready for issue number 3 and the files ready to send for issue number 3, but of course, my computer got fried. And again, power surges in Puerto Rico, even though they weren't as bad back then like they are now, they were still pretty bad. Like I had a surge protector at that time. The surge protector burned out. And that's pretty much what killed the hard drive of my computer that time. The surge protector burned out, burned out. Some of the outlets actually caught fire, and it pretty much killed the hard drive. As unbelievable as that sounds, like I have had monitors catch fire in Puerto Rico because of power surges, like the old school monitors, like the big, like clunky box monitors. Same here. My surge protector's battery died. Yeah, it's like, Puerto Rico, like it's such a shame because when I moved to Puerto Rico when I was a kid, it was in the mid to early 90s. And it's just strange to see how everything has degraded since then. Like everything was so good in the 90s in Puerto Rico. Like even after Hurricane Hugo and Hurricane Georges, like, of course it took a while for like the electricity to come back and whatnot because the power grid has always been messed up. But man, has it gotten worse and degraded even worse over time. It was in the 2000s, like once again, when I started to do my own comic and such, that's when the big problems electricity wise started happening in Puerto Rico. So that ends the shilling portion of the live stream. That ends the home shopping network version of the live stream. But before we move on towards the final act, Project New Wave issue number 3 now available on Indie Planet, or you can contact Manuel Carmona directly, either on his Facebook or his Instagram. And he's pretty active on Twitter himself. Actually, he's a lot more active than I am on Twitter and on Instagram, I believe, as well. So you can definitely get in contact with him. You can get in contact at the Truthful Comics page as well, or the Art of Manuel Carmona um, Facebook page as well. Let me just kind of close some of these tabs so I don't get too confuzzled with all this stuff open here. Because I just want to share the good news that Fred Peterson, the Mighty Warlord, is having a little bit of a facelift, courtesy of our friend Silsucks, who is an extraordinary graphic designer as well. I commissioned him to kind of give the old logo a little bit of a facelift for um, the Truthful Comics edition of Warlord that's going to be coming out hopefully soon. And let's take like a small, very small walk through memory lane. Like this was pretty much the first logo that Fred Pearson, the Mighty Warlord, had. Like it was based off of the old design from my notebook series. Actually, I have my notebook series here too. Let me see if I can find like a more decent looking one that can be seen on the camera. So I don't know if you guys can see this well enough. Let me try to kind of. Oh, I can't see it myself because if I turn the light off, also. Okay, there you go. That's pretty much the original logo I did on the notebook series of Warlord. And yes, that does say 96. This was from 1996. Like that kind of kept evolving through the years. Let me like see. The Warlord then changed to the more familiar the Mighty Warlord. There you go. And then it changed to what it was for a very long time, like this. The Mighty Warlord with like kind of like the design around the fonts, if you want to call it that. Let me see. Because I believe the whole run of the notebook series was just simply the Mighty Warlord. Yeah, it was actually. I want to show this off because I'm actually very proud of this cover from back then. It showcases a lot of characters that you've already met in the webcomic already. So it's not much of a spoiler. For the exception of maybe a character or two, but I'm not going to mention.
Cultists.com. In general, people who are considered to have good character often have traits like integrity, honesty, courage, loyalty, fortitude, and other important virtues that promote good behavior.
Thank you, Alexa. I have to remember to turn off the Alexa echo sometimes when I'm doing the solo shows. Like, at least she doesn't understand Spanish. So, yeah, throughout pretty much the entirety, except for like maybe the first two notebooks, it was just simply the Mighty Warlord. That is, it was just simply Warlord. Then it was the Mighty Warlord. And when I started doing the webcomic, also, the Mighty Warlord. And this version was actually tweaked a little bit for the internet by a colleague, a former colleague at least. at least in that person's eye, a former colleague. So he basically just took the logo that I had done of the notebook, which is what I had put originally on the original illustrations I had put up of Warlord, and basically just kind of did like a makeshift logo on Illustrator of it. So that's what I was using for like the first couple of years. As you can see, this is the original cover to chapter 2. And then that evolved into this logo here, which is when eventually like um I believe it was actually starting on chapter 12 that I started doing the whole Fred Peterson the Mighty Warlord title instead. So I went ahead myself and tweaked it more to make it more legible and whatnot because it just simply had the mighty and it was all black. Sometimes it presented some trouble. And then when I decided to kind of tweak it myself, I added the Fred Peterson as well, of course. So that's kind of like the second official logo in the web comics that kicked off the second book on chapter 12. And here is, of course, the one that most people are familiar with, which is the current logo of Fred Peterson, the Mighty Warlord, which I started doing like around chapter 13 or 14, maybe. By that time, a good friend of mine, Carlos Alvarez da Costa, um, he used to be big into doing 3D models and logo designs for fun, and he actually had his own concept for a story he was working on. Unfortunately, he's not working on them anymore, but back then he was really into it. As a gift, he did like a whole redesign of the Warlord logo, and that's why I've been using since. This is kind of like the logo that people associate the comic with the most now, since it has been like at this point the longest logo that I've used. And my jaw just dropped when I saw that logo for the first time. It was just freaking fantastic. Carlos Alvarez, like, he has so much talent, especially making 3D models and coming up with logos and designs. Like, I wish sometimes that he would get back into it, but again, you have to be understanding too of when a person kind of needs to like let go of certain things, and you just have to be there to support them. But it would be cool if you would get into the game again. But anyway, enough of this chatter. Let's get on to business. As I was saying, I commissioned the awesome Silsucks to give a bit of a facelift to the old logo, especially for the Truthful Comics edition that are going to be printed out hopefully soon. And without further ado, all right, there she is. Fred Peterson, the Mighty Warlord. I absolutely love this freaking logo. And once again, this was a great commission by Seal Sooks. It pretty much encapsulates all the previous logos, so it kind of pays homage to all the logos that Fred Pearson, the Mighty Warlord, has had, and it gives it an edgier, kind of more modern look at the same time, in my opinion. Again, I may be biased, but that's what I think anyway. It's my comic, and I'll gush if I want to. And to like give you guys a taste of how that would look like with the cover that I did for issue number 1 of the Truthful Comics edition. There you go. Actually, this is like one of the copies that Silsucks himself sent me as a test to see what I thought of how the logo looked like with my artwork. So this isn't like the official look yet of the cover, but it's going to be pretty much like this, of course. But yes, so you guys can have an idea of how it looks like, how it's going to be, how the artwork is going to be looking like for the printed editions, and how the logo is going to look like again. Like the webcomic itself, I'm probably going to just keep using the old logo because that's what people online are used to. But if somebody just like casually reads it online and then sees like a printed copy somewhere or like sees it online or whatever, like it's familiar enough for them to like catch their eye and say like, hey, I recognize that logo. It was super fun to work on it. I love the challenge of upgrading something without changing its fundamentals. Well, it was super fun to actually receive it when I saw it. Like, my heart leapt when I saw that. I was so excited when I saw it, man. Like, once again, I can't thank you enough for helping me out with this. Like, logo types is definitely something that I'm not very good at. You have to like recognize your weaknesses, and that's definitely one of my weaknesses. And I also have to like talking with Chago and other friends as well. Like I also have to kind of learn sometimes to um delegate in that sense as well of, like getting help when you know that there's something that you're not um completely strong at, so this was definitely cool. Like this is one of the few commissions I've ever like one of the few times I ever commissioned someone, rather. This is probably, I think this is actually the first time I've commissioned someone, now that I think of it. At least to like do something for my comics. Because I've suggested people all over the place for, to do um commissions for people and whatnot, like make introductions. But this is like the first time that I was like, okay, I kind of need something myself now. I absolutely love that logo. Let me put the logo itself again. There you go. Isn't that something? This is definitely something that keeps my mind off of Twitter and the Houston Asterisks winning the World Series. It's been a hell of a week. And it's only Monday. It's been a hell of a month, and it's only the 7th. If you don't mind me saying so, this is just freaking awesome. Juan Martinez, thank you so much. So yeah, there you have it. A pretty big, like I was posting the other day, like it's a very big end of the year, pretty much like ending the year with a lot of momentum, with Indie Planet finally posting Project New Wave number 3 and the Cannon Girl Truthful Comics edition pretty almost at the same time. That was not planned. Believe me, the plan was to have this out much earlier. Once again, apologies to anyone that was and everyone that was waiting for these, especially Project New Wave number 3. It was out of our hands. We complained, and believe me that when we complained online about all this, it's because we had already complained a million times in private about this. So it's good that they're starting to steer their ship in the right direction. Hopefully, they'll be able to maintain it. I don't know if I personally am going to make more business with them. I know a lot of colleagues aren't. Some will. Uh, Excuse me. I'm not used to talking by myself anymore on these live streams. It's time to like look for options just in case. I'll probably at the very least upload it at Indie Planet just to have that extra option of somebody that scrolling through their page and just suddenly sees it and probably thinks it's something to their liking. You never know. But in terms of like digital downloads, I think I'm just going to go for Kindle or like try to do some kind of native downloading thing on our website or something. Stay tuned for that, I guess. And in terms of physical copies, I'm going to keep looking into options as well. Definitely, that's the primary thing I'm going to look into. To be honest, like I know, like Indie Planet, well, Kablam made a lot of promises that now that they have like new machinery to, they'll be able to like experiment with different types of chromium covers and holographic covers and whatnot. Like I would have stayed on like 100%, but the only thing that bugged me about this whole thing was, in my opinion, the lack of transparency these last couple of years, and also the horrible customer service, in my opinion, these last couple of years. Like customer service, a little bit of good customer service goes a long way. It really does. So who knows what's going to happen with that. Hopefully the web comic will be uploading soon. Time has been very constricted on my end. I'm just trying to kind of like reset myself. I'll go back to Kablam once they pay me back. Oh man. And even then, it's like, even then, like it's like you have to think about it. They'll have to like pay you back, apologize, and at least like give you like something for free. I don't know. Do like a print of 30 copies of your book for free at least or something. I don't know. Like the speaking of colleagues, like Gablam really did Silsuk's dirty with his property, you know. Like Manuel and I complained just because of the tardiness. Like in Silsuk's case, what's worse is that it actually affected the actual product, which is like the cardinal sin for publishing. And on top of that, they were almost victim blaming him too. So it was like, that's one of the main things that makes me think like I don't really want to do my main business with them anymore. Or if I can avoid any business at all with them, but we'll see what happens. Anyway, my energy levels are dropping rapidly. I just kind of to wanted to like once again show off the new copy of Project New Wave, issue number 3. All the links are in the chat. Kind of go down memory lane with the logos that Fred Peterson, the mighty Warlord, had, and show off the fantastic job that Silsix did on giving the old logo a facelift. So I think I'm going to cut it here. It's a little longer than I expected it to be, but that's been the case over the last months anyway. Um, I have surpassed the 325 subscribers on YouTube. Thank you all so much. I'm like on the verge of 175, I believe, 175,000 channel views, which has been amazing. Like the growth the channel has had this past year, you know, really unexpected. Like my goal was to like make it to 50,000 views um by the end of the years and maybe 200 subscribers by the end of the year. So it's mind blowing that I was able to, thank you, man. Really appreciate it. Thank you so much. And again, this wasn't just on my own. Um, Also, Chago Rodriguez had a lot to do with it when he came up with the concept for Boricua Contra Todo, which has been such a fun thing to do. If you don't understand Spanish, if you've never seen what it's about, it's pretty much a live stream we try to do every Wednesday where we talk about the dangers, pratfalls, and the absolute great things about indie publishing, whether it be in Spanish or in English or whatever. We try to talk about cautionary tales, and we try to talk about legal stuff like copyrights, and every other time we'll have another colleague or creative hop onto the live stream to talk about their products and their experiences as well. And it's been a ton of fun to be able to do that. Well, anyway, I am going to go hibernate for a couple of hours. um I will likely see you guys on Wednesday unless something else happens that merits me being on the silly internet again. Once again, thank you guys so much. Thank you for the support for all these years, and stay creative, my friends.